target ban.
So I wonder what the first pick will be here if they take away Caitlyn. Does DRX have the confidence to leave it up, I wonder, actually? Gen.G then first picking it and DRX having a response is one option. Option number two is they take away Caitlyn, and then you're looking at perhaps a jungle first pick, and a Kali first pick, a Sejuani first pick. They're going to take it away. So DRX do not want to deal with it. They don't have confidence in their response towards this champion. And now I think Sejuani, yeah, is going to be the best first pick there. DRX now the ones to respond. A Kali could be a good option. A Philios we haven't seen just yet in this series I think could be another good option.
Philios generally feels like the best all-around AD carry in the meta. Certainly depends on what your composition needs, but if you are unsure, he is the jack of all trades. The start of this series felt like it was going to be all about the Sylas and the Akali. Game one certainly felt that way. Game two, not so much. And perhaps now why we're seeing a departure from the immediate Akali lock. And of course, DRX could still lock it here.
Deft hasn't played a Philios just yet at Worlds. So the Viego is going to be the pickup. Akali still up. It's going to be Varus for DRX. I wonder if it's going to be more of an on-hit Varus, similar to what Ruler was rolling with in game one. Instead of going for that poke Varus, go for the on-hit. Sivir may be the response, but yeah, Philios not really a champ in Deft's wheelhouse, but it is in Rulers.
Interesting. What is the option going to be here? Because they can lock in the Kalista here. We may see an Ashe support response on the opposite side. Definitely Varus Ashe, not my favorite bot lane of all time, but has been historically known as that counter pick. Instead, the Karma now coming out, looking to fight for lane priority on the bottom side.
Trying to deny the push, exactly. So DRX have two options here again, just picking mid on 3 here, something like the Akali, waiting to see the Sejuani flex on your top jungle, or picking support to match the Karma. It's hard to dig deep and find a champion that can contest the push against Karma, but Beryl has a lot of champions in his wheelhouse in terms of support. Renata could be something that works. It struggles with the push, but it can be a very good 2v2 lane in of itself.
There are only about 3 or 4 players in the world that I ever want to see play Ezreal. 2 of them are in this game right now, Ruler and Deft. It'll be Ruler trying his hands on this one. Karma Ezreal goes back a long, long time. Can be very safe, can be very dominant. The response on the opposite side going to be the Renata. Certainly more utility, more relevant CC in the fights, but it does not mean that the laning phase is going to be any easier.
Ezreal Karma, a lot of push, a lot of poke, and I think the DRX bot lane will struggle in that sense, but their team fighting will be strong. We saw what Gumayusi and Keria can get done with Varus, Renata. Now I think DRX could target towards mid. Gen.G probably going to drop an Akali ban. They could also target towards top, Renekton Sejuani, Camille Sejuani, and the things that you think about. Kingen has shown things like the Fiora, so maybe he's confident in countering that Camille. But we'll have to wait and see, because a Fiora ban here from Gen.G and a Kali ban here stops this skirmish-heavy power that I think DRX wants to lean into.
Yeah, anytime you have the Viego on your composition, you love to pair it with more heavy upfront burst damage. Now, I can't imagine we see another lethality Varus, but it would pair nicely. Instead, for now, the Camille going to be banned away, taking their time here. Azir, remember, kind of was the king of group stage in terms of mid lane priority, but has been falling off pretty steadily. Could see it banned out. Wouldn't be surprised to see Gen.G take it, but definitely not quite the pick that we once thought it was.
It's a very interesting draft here, because they've actually taken away the Camille despite showing the Fiora in game 1 into the Camille. So they're very worried about that Camille on 4. So that maybe spells to me that they're deciding to put Sejuani top, and they're looking for a jungler, something like the Graves perhaps on 4-5. Works very well on the late invades, can do really well, especially into Viego in the early stages of doing those late invades. Narban here from DRX suggests to me they're leaning towards a tank as well to match the Sejuani. Gragas Ornn might be the pickup. So then the question is, Akali still. Is that something that Gen.G want to ban away? There's the Gragas ban because of the tank matchup. Akali's up, could be a pickup here on 4, but you could also counter mid. So now I think DRX are saying, do we have a counter to Akali? Looks like they do. Ornn picked up, and now I expect this Sejuani to go top.
Would certainly make a lot of sense. The second that Gragas ban comes out, it essentially forces DRX to either pick the Ornn or let it go through and not have a really reliable tank option on the top side for themselves. Kingen, of course, known as a carry player, but really made his mark in the team fights for DRX when he was playing Ornn in summer.
Chobies is here. Is going to get locked in. They have a lot of range and damage here. Actually, thinking about it, Gangplank would be pretty good here for Gen.G, just in terms of range, poke, scaling as well. They can still opt into things like the Graves, but I think GP just suits their comp really well. They could also opt into double tank frontline with so much range. Maokai, Sejuani, something along those lines. But Zeka needs to find a counter to this Azir. I think Akali will be his go-to. LeBlanc could work very well. But it is going to be Sejuani top and Trundle. That makes sense as well. Take away the resistance from the Ornn. Just have some kind of beefy frontline next to your Sejuani with the amount of scaling you have already.
And the Ornn, or rather not the Ornn, the Trundle Pillar is always going to feel incredibly good against immobile carries like the Varus. It is not something like a GP ult, but it will feel strong. Akali feels like it must be the pick. Zeka will lock it in. Wow, chance to prove himself on it once again.
Gen.G don't have that much spread damage, if that makes sense. All of their damage is coming from Chovy and Ruler. We talked about them being foundationally so reliable. They need to show it this game, because the later this game goes on, Peanut and Doran are just engaged frontline bots. Lehend is a shield bot, whereas on DRX they have quite a lot of damage pretty well spread out through. Ornn scales really well in terms of setting up damage as well, because of the percent coming through. Viego carry jungler, Akali, Varus, a lot of playmaking and engage. So Gen.G need to get to break points of 3 items, keep front-to-back teamfights going, and mark Zeka as much as possible. He's found so many flanks in that game 2 on Ahri. If he does it again in this game 3, Gen.G will collapse. They will fall apart because they don't have the lockdown that they need to stop the Akali. The only thing they have is the Sejuani ult, which they need to go forwards.
There's 0 point-and-click CC for the Viego or the Akalis.
But the rise of depth. And the crowd here in Atlanta are on the side of DRX 2. The dark horse of the tournament. I don't think anyone, if you asked them a month ago, what do you think the semifinals will look like, they'll say names like JDG and Top Esports, T1, Damwon, Gen.G, DRX would be very low on that list. But here they are. LCK 4th seed up against the LCK 1st seed. 1-1 in the game score. Let's get into game 3. It looks like Gen.G were trying to get some control over that bot brush there. Make sure they have the vision so the Ezreal Karma can get level 1 bot push. So they're not getting any kind of shenanigans in the middle brush from the Varus and the Renata.
Not too much explosive action going to happen. So we have a moment. Prime Gaming is giving away 150,000 RP to several lucky fans every single day of Worlds. You can head over to primegamingworlds22.com to enter. Make sure to put in today's secret code to get bonus entries. It's that one at the bottom of your screen, LOL66D2.
Good one.
Yeah. Got it.
You can read that out.
Locked that in. Pronunciated. But now, we get to talk about what has the potential to be a very explosive laning phase. But I imagine, Kadril, that short of lane phase disaster, this game is going to be so much more about the mid game, about the early spikes for champions like this Ezreal.
Yeah, and he's gone for the Conqueror here on Ezreal instead of the First Strike. I think he's done that because there's 3 melee divers, so he can stack it up pretty effectively. But you might see a little bit of poke in this bot lane. Beryl can always flash forwards with the handshake level 2 if they can get it first. Bot lane's always about getting the push as much as possible, and if you're in range to hit champions, and of course hitting them will always be a good thing, pushing them back. DRX get the first wave in despite Gen.G getting bot control on the brush. Zeka will have to trade health for minions in this matchup because of Azir's range in the early stages, and Tank's top is going to be just wet noodles fighting. We almost saw a solo kill last game with the Gragas and Ornn. I don't think we'll see one this time.
I'm just saying, I feel like it's a bit disingenuous to tell the world it's a wet noodle fight after we almost saw. They're wet noodles, but they will kill each other.
They will, and if they had Ignite, that would always help. These are 2 champions that sometimes did run it with things like the Spellbook, but not this time around. So Pyosic's done his bot camps into top side. Peanut's done his top side camps into bot side. So DRX's bot lane will have to be a bit careful. We'll see if Pyosic backtracks here. He could do Red Raptors and then go to that bot crap still, but DRX are going to struggle here to get this bot push in, despite having so much pressure now. Deft and Beryl have to play very far back because of where their jungler is and the information they currently have.
Lehend's Ruler not afraid to step forward, knowing that they have that information advantage as Kingen on the top side. What'd I say, Kadril? What'd I say?
Doran has the Ignite, actually. Didn't see that. Doesn't have the Spellbook, has the Grasp. So he could be a very easy dive target here for DRX. I think Kingen is intentionally hard trading, and Pyosik can just pay a visit up here. I think they just need to crash the wave, and Doran is dead. We'll see if he can trade 1 for 1. Biscuit on Kingen, Biscuit on Doran. Is he going to ward the bush? Yes, he is. He knows something's up. Kingen needs to save mana here. He needs... Oh, he just used the W. I don't think they can dive now. He used the cookie. I don't know if they have the damage to kill this Sejuani. We're about to find out. Level up will help as well. Doran's holding the wave to make it so Kingen or Pyosik has to tank. It will crash, though.
Last game, the first gank for Pyosik was a disaster. Will this one be better? The Ignite now ticking down, tagging the tower, and first blood for DRX.
Easy does it. Yeah, easy does it. Kingen just great trades onto the Sejuani. No flash, ignites, but it's just a 1 for 0. So this was their game plan. Look at the CS in bot though. Deft and Beryl are really suffering for this play under their tower, not being able to push despite having a good first couple waves. But a great dive there, first blood.
But important to highlight, said it, big discrepancy between top lane and bottom lane. In the bottom lane, Ruler and Lehends are dominating. This is what we know this Karma Ezreal bot lane to do is as early as 2015 when we saw it, 2016, really rising in popularity. It's been in and out of the meta so many times. For now, really holding on to this advantage. Here comes Peanut through the lane, ready to just make sure that Ruler and Lehends can push this one out. And look at Beryl. He's just taking 50% of his life just to step forward and try to contest these creeps.
It's hard, isn't it? Ezreal Karma, so much poke. And your jungler doesn't have any lockdown either. So it's very hard. Ezreal incredibly slippery, the shield movement speed. And after these creeps die, we'll see what the CS total is. Looks like Death's down roughly 11. And Gen.G will just keep this pressure up. And what this will transition into is bot side invades from Peanuts, dragon stacking, bot push into mid to help out Chovy when he's trying to crash waves into Zeka. A lot of things they can use here. They can even use it for a Herald. But look top again, Doran.
There it is. Pioshik stepping forward again. Now Doran in trouble. Doran taken down. On the bot lane, it's the best of the time. In the top lane, it's the worst. The tale of two lanes here in game 3.
DRX putting all the resources up here. Ignite on Doran. No flash either. He is the man that DRX want to shut down to get their top jungle ahead. And Doran, of course, 3 years ago was on Griffin. Actually was crying in a game 2 after they lost to, I think it was SKT back then in 2019. Did struggle with a lot of nerves, puts a lot of blame on himself. He's grown into such a reliable player for Gen.G, but right now DRX have found the weakness. They've found kills right now in these early stages, despite their bot lane falling behind.
And so crucial now for Doran to weather the storm, to understand his role shifting, no longer about going even, just about surviving after suffering under so much jungle attention. You can see Peanut pulling ahead in terms of the individual jungle matchup. Big CS lead as Deft and Beryl finally starting to fire back, but topside is going to be a struggle. Peanut now moving in. Maybe, just maybe, they can try to force some kind of play here.
They don't have lockdown either, do they? It's only a Karma W that can stop Deft and Beryl from being able to move around so they can actually get the damage onto them. So Peanuts will transition this into a dragon. Quick to note though, when the Varus gets towards level 6, it'll affect Gen.G's bot lane a little bit because then they have setup. You know, Varus, Renato with the level 6 ultimates, Karma will be their target, so Lehends is going to have to play a little bit further back than he's doing now. Now he can just walk up in their face and just poke them as much as he wants. Piosik's entering this bot side river, Crab is spawning, Zeka is he's catching the wave, but he is getting his way down towards this bot side river to help out his
level
jungler.
6.
Could be a 4v4, but Death's under tower.
Again, so many tools from DRX to kick this fight off, to isolate and lock down a single target, instantly trying to burn. Lehends looking for the reset. Pioshik getting into the pit, but it ticked down, igniting, burning Zeka in the back line. Getting pushed out of his own shroud as well. The team retreats, but still, he will take down Lehends. DRX finding the kill in exchange for the dragon. Can they get anything else? Ruler over the wall, looking for poke. They've corralled Chovy, they've corralled Peanut. They're locking him down. They handshake it back into the waiting arms, and DRX take the fight.
Gen.G get the dragon, but DRX know that there's a window here soon, and it comes off the back of who? It comes off the back of Zeka. Once again, manages to find the first kill in that fight onto Lehends. 4-0 scoreline, 2,000 gold for DRX right now. They are running away with this early game, and Deft getting that kill has actually put him ahead of Ruler.
Incredible position for DRX to find themselves. Pioshik as well has to be highlighted. 100% kill participation. You can see Gen.G control the objective, but these fights are so hard. They have no hard CC to lock down, to burst down, to take out a single target, and it makes it easy for Zeka to run rampant.
Look at him go, gets pushed back here by Chovy, but sees the kill in his eyes. Takes down Lehends, goes back into stealth, flashes out before Chovy can get the kill. Now it's awkward here for Gen.G because they don't want to flash out because they're confident enough to fight back. So they're waiting for their opportunity. Ruler out of mana though, and then this pullback from Beryl stops Chovy from being able to dash over the wall. Peanut flashes out, just about lives. Beryl playing that fight with so much confidence. Was on Damwon last year, of course, in the finals, is a world champion. Hang on a second, might be ulti. Cast the curse and die there. No, he levels up, should be all right. Deft fighting back though.
Stepping forward. There's no cleanse available. Ruler flashing to the side. Now they're fishing for a little bit more. Flash down. Beryl looking for the disengage. Handshake will connect onto 2. But again, both bot lanes playing on the edge here, fishing, looking for more, for kills, for angles to find the 2v2.
Pioshik can get a little bit of vision on this top side. Zeka is under tower, and they're forcing this Herald. Kingen and Doran are very low on mana. I think they have enough for about one combo. Zeka's ult is up, but Lehends is first to this objective. Beryl is a little bit slow, so the DRX take the 4v3 while they wait for Beryl. Does Pyosik look for the steal? He has no flash, but he has the ult. Let's watch Zeka though. When does he go in?
To the side, the Orn Horn has been blown, but it will be interrupted. Looking for a bit of vengeance after that lane phase. Kingen burning, ticking, falling down. As Lehends will take the kill, the Herald as well, falling in favor of Gen.G.
Great ult there from Doran to stop DRX's engage. The second that Ornhorn hits, Zeka will follow up straight away with his ultimate, and then Gen.G will have to retreat, but they can hold their ground when that ultimate's down, and they can get the objective. Gen.G still finding plays despite being behind. With this bot push moving towards mid, Lehends is first to that play, and Ruler, of course, used his flash to try to get the kill onto Deft. These legendary AD carries trading summoners back and forth, and we'll take a look at his Herald again because it's just Kingen's ultimate. If this hits, then they can look for the Sejuani. You know, Zeka can start to dash forwards, but Gen.G can stand tall.
Really just the Ignite being the difference maker there when it comes to finishing that kill overall. Now the Herald going to be an important tool. If used effectively, really can do so much to even up the goal, because when you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you see that across the board, outside of Beryl, DRX are ahead. Pyosik now fishing for an individual kill. Lehends getting out with the blast cone. Only making it out to safety, but Pyosik, despite falling behind in CS early, has just been so active across the map and is now starting to take camps away from Peanut and Gen.G.
Played over to DRX. Ruler's going to have to base. Deft's going to push in this wave. Dragon spawning in 1 minute 30 seconds, but Pyosik owns the bot side of the map. Peanut wants to take his red buff, but he knows the enemy junglers are around here. Deft's actually going to stick around. Doesn't have enough gold for the mythic, you have to imagine, just yet. Wants to pick up that shield bow before the dragon spawns, but will decide to back away as he knows Pyosik needs to go towards his Grump. And the way DRX won last game was dragon stacking. It was getting that soul, the infernal one. We'll see if they try to stack that up again. TP on Kingen, no TP on Doran, so he can TP to mid tier 1 or bot tier 1 to help his team. There's a shield bow picked up for Deft.
And I think the struggle now for Gen.G is just going to be all about execution, because you look at the side of DRX and it's so easy for them to start fights. There are so many CC tools, there are so many reliable engage tools, and again, we've highlighted this a few times, but I think it deserves calling out again as a focal point. It's just Doran who is really that reliable engage. It is Chovy maybe with some sort of hero shuffle to make these plays happen. So Gen.G cannot afford to misstep or make any mistakes in this game, because coming back, if they get themselves in too big of a deficit, is so hard without reliable pick potential.
Herald placed, but Peanut got all the gold. None of it went to Ruler. So that's going to sting for Gen.G. You remember game 1 where they just invested everything into Ruler with the Herald. Yeah. Now they can't actually get as much resources as they might want. Deft still ahead. Mythic picked up 10 seconds on this dragon spawn, and I think Gen.G might have to just give this and move towards topside, but we've seen these teams in the semifinals take fights that we imagine they shouldn't. We'll keep our eye on Peanut though as he moves towards mid. He's going to take a recall. DRX pressuring down towards this bot side, expecting them to move towards the dragon just afterwards. Still with a 1,000 gold lead, and will even up the dragon's score. No cross map available for Peanut and Gen.G as he picks up the Sunderer.
Atlanta cheering, ready for more. Dragon dropping in favor of DRX, evening it up. As you highlighted, 1,000 gold advantage to them now. Bit of trading on the top side.
We want to kill
the
here.
Tower. We want it. There it is! 1v1! Get the solo bolo guy!
My good God, Kingen's mechanics in that 1v1 were flawless. Flashes the Sejuani ult, follow us up with the ultimate, gets the auto in. Doran falls. Kingen having a fantastic series in his first Worlds semi-finals. Deft and the rest of DRX can rely on this top laner to go even or ahead, and right now he's running away with it. 2-1 on this Ornn. Pressure point for DRX, pressure in the bot lane from Deft. Zeka TP'd back to mid, getting closer and closer to that mythic.
Deft Beryl taking control, taking over, engage now coming out, big damage to the handshake, now being pulled back. Is it enough? Not quite to finish Lehends. We'll walk away fine, but again, Kingen, game 1 was rough, game 1 was difficult, but really coming back here in game 3, game 2 as well. I talked to Ashley Kang last night. She said, watch out for the Ornn. I was not thinking she was going to say that. I was expecting the Camille, the Fiora, these carries. Instead, the Ornn here is Peanut now stepping forward, but Pyosik is in the area, and Pyosik is so strong. Won't be able to find anything else here, however.
That's 2 flashes. The jungle support just lost their flashes on the side of Gen.G. Zeka is on the way, and he's hunting. He's blocked by the Crux. He couldn't get around the wall there, but he does see Lehends has the flash, has the ult.
Fishing for the stuns, now going to find the lockdown, immediately going to get the reset. Now he's the karma.
Oh my God!
And Brother will kill Brother as a hostile takeover gets the job done. Ruler taken out. Chovy is here. Chovy will try to strike back.
Does he get
the ship afloat, but DRX continue the push on the bottom side.
DRX pick up a couple kills once again. Legendz falls as well. All the gold from these plates over to the carries of DRX. And now in game 3, with this sizable gold lead against the Titans that are Gen.G, the LCK's first seed, dominating the entirety of summer and the playoffs. The 4th seed in DRX is striking back. So they got the flash out of the jungle support. Zeka comes down. Pyosik gets the kill instantly so he can get the Karma Soul. And once again, Beryl slams it home. Brother fights brother like you talked about. Peanut hitting onto Ruder. The cleanse isn't enough to trade in the 1-for-1. But what is enough to trade back is Chovy. Arrives a little bit too late. Maybe could have been here.
Well, that thought Beryl got caught out. Handshake coming in. Beryl trying to retreat as much as he can. Will get burned down. Instead, will not be bailed out. Ruler grabbing that kill back in response. Gen.G showing signs of life. 3K deficit, but they're holding on.
Hard to transition it into an objective, though. 15 seconds on the Herald, actually. Peanut's gonna smite away that red in the face of Pyosik. I think they'll be able to pick up that objective pretty handily. No cross map available for DRX. 5 seconds on Beryl. I don't think he'll be here in time if DRX want to take the fight.
Gen.G set up around the objective. Ludens here for Chovy. Looking for that big burst damage. Looking to lock up and take down these squishy targets. Second Herald will fall for Gen.G. First one, putting the gold into the back pocket of Peanut. Definitely not ideal. The second one, maybe they can use it to break down more of these towers. But it is not a free Herald. Kingen, given access to the bottom side, will deny a few more creeps before knocking this one down.
First brick, also be a lot of gold over to Kingen. 450 in his back pocket, no plates, so doesn't get upwards of 600. Will crash the bot waves in, and this is going to be a very tanky Ornn. And we talked about it in draft. Gen.G's only damage is coming from mid and bot, whereas DRX have it coming from multiple sources. Zeka.
Not going to get anything else there. He still has the ult. Level 2 as well. It's going to be big if he tries to commit for the all-in. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Gen.G trying to regain a bit of control of their own jungle.
Can they walk in? Red buff spawning really soon. I wonder if DRX want to keep this mid push so they can secure that. 1 minute on the next dragon, so maintaining bot vision is crucial. Zeka doesn't have the TP, neither does Chovy, so expecting Zeka to push out this or the next top wave, take a base, rejoin his team. Beryl's going to base for wards. Dragon stacking is everything. Deft, though.
Deft. Actually caught out a little bit here, but confident enough to keep trading, keep throwing down damage. Dorn waiting over the wall. It could be Pyosik who's in trouble, has the ulti. Can go unstoppable if he needs to. Waiting in the mist, fishing for another opportunity. And this game from Pyosik has been clean. 7 out of 8 kill participation. This is a guy who we know is feast or famine. He can be the best jungler in the world, and he can certainly throw a few kills away. But today, most certainly in game 3, he has been showing up.
He really has. He's had a very tough year, Pyosik, being subbed in and out with Yuhan, having very inconsistent performances. But this series, it's been very good so far. We've seen his Kindred, his Viego, doing fantastic so far. 7 out of 8 kills. Dragon spawning in 10. Zeka's going to take the base. Beryl's coming out of it with wards. Gen.G actually just took a base as well. Top and bot lane in the Nexus Towers area, just running out of base. I think they'll be way too late to contest this Dragon, so DRX should be able to pick this one up pretty easily. Will they look for a cross map? Peanut has Herald. Could place it on mid right now if they really want to brute force their way in, but DRX will get this quite low before they arrive.
Peanut in the area. But you're right, looks like he is just going to back away. And you highlighted it again. The 2 players that matter on the side of Gen.G are Chovy and Ruler. And if they are not ready to fight, Gen.G cannot fight.
Peanut has the Herald. Is he going to place it? They're going to get this mid wave in and they're pinging towards top side. Gen.G want to look for a cross map, but Kingen has TP. There's the Herald.
There's the fishing, locked down. Deft now going to get taken out. They're trying to burn through, but he's still standing for now. Hostile takeover. Can he get it? He's been leveled out. He lives for far too long. Pyosik now looking for a little bit more, and here comes Kingen. Beryl now trying to get something back, but Ruler just a bit too slippery. Zeka on the flank. The Herald will finish the tower, but DRX have their eyes set on the kills.
Ruler flashes away. Zeka is still hunting and looking. Peanut barely escapes. It turns into a 1-for-1. DRX want to force this tower down because Chovy's taking their top tower, and they should be able to get it pretty handily. Legendz with no summoners can't walk up too far, and DRX strike back on Gen.G's play once again. Deft living for so long to turn the tides, but overall, it's an even trade. Kill for kill, tower for tower. Summoners blown across the board.
DRX, you can see, trying to up the speed of this game. Chovy doing everything he can to get waves on the side lane, and Zeka now fishing.
No way.
The 1v1, the young prodigy versus Mr. Consistent, leaping back, he hits the mark. Chovy has to be so incredibly careful, waiting, gets the TP out just by landing the shuriken flip.
He's playing with so much confidence, this kid, isn't he? Zeka being picked up by DRX from the LPL, coming over to the LCK, just running away, just playing with so much confidence in this series. Doran, really good engage here. Deft, no cleanse, just locks him down and gets the kill. It looks like Deft is just dead. Even when he comes out of the stun, doesn't flash. He thinks that he's just going to die, but the bailout buys so much time so you can get so many autos down onto Doran that he gets the reset. Ruler finally finished him, but it's a 1-for-1. Watch Peanut here as well. He gets so low. I think he flashes out to the side here and then manages to escape in the top side jungle by recalling as DRX keep their eyes on Gen.G's bot lane.
Certainly, and the struggle is they have just barely enough bursts to finish off Def. Without Chovy in the area, it becomes so incredibly difficult for them to get anything. The bailout going to be more and more valuable if Gen.G try to force these fights without both of their carries present. Chovy getting closer and closer to 2 items. Ruler just around the corner for the 2-item spike for Ezreal. Huge point of power in the game. Something that Gen.G can look to leverage.
Gonna ult the wave here, Kingen. This tower should be fine. Barrel's hovering around. I think he can walk up in their face and just try to clear the wave. I don't think there's that much of a threat unless they hit the tower. Kingen's gonna land the knockup. The tower will die.
Chovy over the wall. Hostile takeover. Now dashing out to safety. That's the TP now coming in. Peanut is still healing up, still holding on for now. The TP has been canceled. Clean play coming in from Doran off screen to stop Zeka from coming to the fight, but Peanut will fall in exchange for the tower.
Good kill there from DRX. Barrel covering the weak side, knowing that there was something to get from that play because of how small the wave was. Chovy doesn't have a tower behind him. Does have the TP though. In comes Pyosik, full committing.
Push back, not gonna matter when he's unstoppable. Chovy into the waiting arms of Pyosik. Hand delivered by Kingen and Barrel.
4,000 gold lead, 20 minutes in for DRX. This was not what anyone expected from this lineup coming into the World Championship. They're gonna move towards mid here. There's no objective to get from these kills, but Gen.G, what is happening? They're falling apart. They're not finding any plays, things are backfiring. Yes, Ruler's ahead, but the top side is in shambles.
You can see on the player cams, Peanut just doing his best to laugh it off. But this is not the team we expected to see. The consistency there to a certain degree, but losing so many kills across the map, and in this exchange, perhaps overstaying their welcome.
Yeah, I think Peanut tanks with bombies here, so he actually picks up the tower aggro. A few shots hit him, he ults onto Kingen, so he does heal up a bit. Doran stops the TP from Zeka there, but it doesn't really matter. Peanut doesn't have flash, nowhere to go, walking into enemy territory. He has a blast cone, so he could get out here, and the fact that there's an actual chance for him to be able to get out, Kingen just uses the flash and gets the kill, and then they collapse on the Chovy with no tower. I don't think he has the passive either. We saw him use it earlier on up against Zeka in the 1v1 when Doran had the TP in to save him. Side lanes being dominated by DRX, cross maps always trading ahead, 40 seconds on their soul points, and now they're looking for Doran. Doesn't commit the ult here, Kingen.
And Kadril, this version of DRX is terrifying. 4-11 the kill score against a team they had literally never won a game against until just 20 minutes ago. Now they stand 4K gold in the lead, 2 dragons up, 24 seconds till that next objective, massively ahead. 2-0-2, 2 items in the back pocket of Zeka. A similar story for Def. Pyosik as well now with the Blade of the Rune King. They are so incredibly powerful. Ruler and Chovy, 2 items as well. The Nashor's Tooth, the sustained damage is there, but Zeka not interested in facing them in the 5v5, looking for Doran here in the side lane, pushing him away, threatening, and now looking for the pick onto Peanut, but Peanut is a very tanky boy. Huge ult from Ruler, trying to burn down Def. The bailout will not be enough. It's clean.
TP from Doran to make sure they're safe. He knows Zeka is looking for a play. Hostile takeover is big though.
Big. Ruler now has to cleanse it out. Looking for the fishing for downtown. Now Pyosik getting the reset. 7 forward as the Karma wants to get the snare desperately. Zeka waiting over the wall. He's been locked up, but it's a clean ulti out from Pyosik. He will not be locked down. He will not be stopped. There's no CC left on the side of Gen.G. DRX retreating back towards the dragon, ready for the 4v4.
Pyosik's having the series of his life right now.
Doran, handshake. Zeka on the flank, looking for Ruler. He gets it. He gets the into the R. He gets everything he wants, and now he can try to find another one. Zeka 2 lane again. Zeka, time after time, in the face of Chovy. Damn your church. He is here to win.
Do not forget the name. Zeka does it every single goddamn time on these champions. Akali, Sylas, whatever it might be, anything with playmaking, he will deliver.
And now DRX, 23 minutes into the game, 6K in the lead. They're gonna get that third dragon from Deft on the bottom side. They're gonna get the Baron from the other 4 members of the team. They are slaughtering Gen.G in the semifinals.
Don't think they can get the dragon here. Deft doesn't have the confidence to finish it up, doesn't have the vision, and Rulers coming out of base first, but let's look at that again. You think of this DRX lineup, you think of Deft, you think of Deft being the one leading the charge. He's struggling a little bit this game, but he's got rookies around him. Kingen and Zeka coming from KT trainees together in their friendship as best friends, convincing Zeka to come over to the LCK. And look what they could do in these fights, these rookies. No, we're gonna have to go back towards this dragon. Kingen looking for Gen.G. This is sole points for DRX. Zeka on the flank again. Gen.G, no lockdown CC. If the Sejuani ult's invested onto Zeka, then the rest of DRX can move forwards. The Ornals will connect. They're trying to mark him as best as they can. Deft has no flash. Zeka has no flash. It's quite hard to walk up. Gen.G have a little bit of range.
Keep your eyes on the ultimate and the shuriken flip from Zeka. If either of those connect, if he gets into melee range, he will eliminate the carries. Hostile takeover, zoning away. Alti zoning away. Call of the Forge God used just to make sure that DRX can get the dragon. And now Gen.G staying in the area, just trying to waste as much of the time on the Baron as they possibly can.
They don't pull the trigger either. Once the dragon fell, they decided against finding the fight. DRX, 1 minute 45 left on this Baron buff. They've used it to get a dragon. Not so much towers yet. All the tier 2s are alive still for Gen.G. Upgrades coming through from the Ornn. We haven't even talked about the amount of scaling that the Ornn can provide to these champions like Varus and Akali. But it's the skirmish-heavy mid-jungle that is Gen.G are just struggling so much to deal with. They want range, they want to poke you out, they want to chip you down from a distance, but DRX are not giving them a single inch to work with, constantly finding a way to get on top of them with the Ornals, with Zeka, with Pyosik. And now it looks like the 1-4 is coming in. Siege onto mid with 4. Zeka ready to respond and move mid when he's needed.
Zeka playing without fear. 10 pages in the book, the Magi is stacking away. Happily sitting in bot lane against 2 of the opposition. A slow, steady siege in the mid lane. Gen.G have to find a way to break this, but it is so hard. The ulti now connecting from Deft, but there will be no follow-up yet. Breaking the tier 2, setting their sights on the bottom lane already. Zeka has the wave in. They are ready to collapse here on the bottom side. Gen.G forced to follow. Forced to be led around the map by DRX as they search for another tier 2.
Good macro from DRX so far. I think they dropped a mid-wave there. They had a little bit more pressure on that next wave. They could have looked and stayed longer for that tier 2 bot, but they'll be happy with that. They're sitting on soul points. Similar situation to game 2. DRX can afford to just play the waiting game. Eventually Gen.G will have to fight them on this dragon. And when they do, that's when they'll strike. Magi's 10 stacks now for Zeka building towards the Void Staff. He is going to do so much damage. Level 16, one combo will shred through either of these Gen.G carries. The only damage that they have is in this Azir and Ezreal. And DRX, we'll see how they set up. But for now, it's about patience. Taking their time and punishing Gen.G when they walk up. Gen.G building towards spikes, looking for Void Staffs, looking for Cyrildas.
Hoping to get those items on the board. Desperately need them. The Ornn so incredibly tanky already. Pyosik closer and closer to the GA. Making it that much harder to lock him down if you don't take into account the fact that his ult already going to make him unstoppable. Fearless as DRX step into enemy jungle, but Ruler still strong, still has to be respected. Pyosik and Barrel backing away. 2.5 minutes till the Baron spawns. 2.5 minutes to the Infernal Soul. DRX ready to fight for it. Gen.G need to take that objective away. It's so hard now for Gen.G, Cadril. This is a team, again, when we look back at their history, when we look back against their history, against DRX specifically, have come back from insane, nearly insurmountable deficits.
Yep.
But today, and here at Worlds, something feels different because this is not the DRX we saw in the LCK.
This is DRX's meta. You think of those games that they lost them in the regular season, the best example of that. Hang on a second, it's Peanut.
Quick stun, bit of follow-up damage as well. Pyosik stepping forward, Lahen's there to make sure Peanut can get out.
Yeah, best example of that is first round Robin. DRX game 1 against Gen.G in summer. They played the Seraphine, Lulu Kog'Maw, they played supportive style. Deft was the only carry on that team, on that lineup, and despite getting leads, they still fell. But with playmaking on Zeka, with tanks and carries for Kingen rather than just being a frontliner, this amount of playmaking means that Deft is relieved from the amount of pressure. Beryl joining the team, of course, as well, gives way more communication. He can be a voice for DRX, where Deft can then focus on his game a bit more, relieve all the stress and carry that needs to happen to win these games, offload it to players like Zeka, who love to play skirmish-heavy champs. And then you can see what he does with these fights.
Terrifying. Level 17, He shows up in your lane and you walk away. Already the Void Staff completed, no more stacks to the book because Gen.G will not give him the fights. Def clearing out the wave as best they can. Again, it's not about these side lanes, it is about these objectives. We are 1 minute away from the last chance for Gen.G in this game. They cannot afford to lose another fight.
And they know that. They're trying to set up as quick as possible. Mid-wave's coming in. They need to push that one out, but DRX are going to be there to stop them. Doran is top right now. He's going to move his way down. He's going to TP in, actually. They really want this mid-wave. They really want control over this bot side river. Baron spawning at the exact same time, though. They can't afford to trade, so they're forced into this bot side river. They'll get a bit of control as Zeka pushes in bot. TP down to get this tower, but he will be a looming flank, and Deft needs to be careful.
Good sidestep, catching out Kingen going face first into the pillar. He will break it, but now he's forced to flash out to safety. Chovy fishing, Kingen going golden, trying to buy a bit more time. Hostile take over the flash, coming out as well. Ruler hitting Chovy, left and right, and it's Zeka onto the back line, but for now he's only hitting Doran. Fishing for the angle, trying to get something done. It's into the back end. Again, it's Zeka! How do they do it every single time? This man might just be the cleanest Akali in the world. DRX take the fight, set their sights on the mid lane. They don't need the Baron.
And they're gonna end. Deft kills Chovy, TPing from Kingen. DRX don't care about this dragon. They don't care about soul point. They care about match point. They care about series point.
DRX, a victory march into the enemy base as they move to match point versus Gen.G.
That man on your screen, Zeka, is making miracles happen here in Atlanta. Gen.G are starstruck. They need to change the draft. They need to change the pace at which DRX are playing it in game 1. DRX matched the pace. They said, we'll play a slow game. We'll pick scaling. We'll pick Azir. Game 2 and 3, they throw it all out the window and say, we're going back to pace. We're going back to skirmish. We're going back to things like the Akali. And it's working. And Gen.G can't keep up.
I'm blown away. The individual levels of performance we are seeing from Zeka, from Pioshik in this game across the board. To weather the storm of the Lulu, or the Karma, Ezreal on the bottom side. Ruler, though, you can still see all of Gen.G still smiles on their faces, knowing the challenge, the task that stands in front of them. But are they still the favorites?
And Barrel's on the cusp of doing something Damwon couldn't. You know, taking them down, actually winning this series. And Gen.G have really been tested here at Worlds. Summer, regular season, playoffs, they were never tested. But at Worlds, in these best of fives, they're struggling.
Certainly are. And it has been incredible game 3. Have to see how Gen.G fire back. But with our teams bringing us to match